Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the Nihui U807 Quadcopter drone that also this version includes a camera. Today we're going to be taking a look at this. We're going to be showing what comes in the box, showing how to set everything up, taking it out for some outdoor flight video and also indoor flight video, and then afterwards giving you some run times on the different options with the camera, without the camera, and also indoor flight time, outdoor flight time, and then at the end kind of opinions and pros and cons after a certain amount of flights. So let's get started. In the box, of course, you get the quadcopter itself. Nice little sport looking quadcopter. You also get a full set of propellers, which is always nice. Some don't actually include all 4 propellers, but in this case they did. You also get, which is interesting to me, is a new set of pinion gears for your motors, just in case you have one strip out. You can go ahead and push a new one on the motor, and they give you a set of 5 of them with also new propeller screws. So that's really nice. Also, you get the prop guards. So if you are just starting out and mostly for flying in the house, you probably want to put these on if you're starting out. Once you get better, you can just take them off in general and you'll get more flight time and you'll have less wind resistance. You also get this little micro SD card reader, which comes in the package, and basically this just allows you to plug that micro SD card into your computer and view your video files. And they give you a 3.7 volt 650 mAh LiPo battery, which is a pretty decent size for this size quadcopter. And of course, here's the manual, just all your basic information. How to work all the modes, how the controller works, how to set it up, and also some of the extra parts you can order. You also get a little screwdriver, so you can take on and off your props, take the shell off, do your repairs, whatever you need to do. This USB charger for your battery, and just your basic USB charger. Plug it into any phone type of USB wall adapter or your computer, and this is a JST connector that will plug into the battery for charging. First of all, the setup with the camera is the camera will come in the box separated. So here's the camera. It also comes with a micro 4 GB SD card, just a little one here, and the way you put it in is just sliding it directly in with the wording actually facing the clips of the camera. Click it in, ready to go. And the back of the quad has this little LED light here, and the front has the battery connector. And so putting on the camera, you just want to face it towards the front, put it in the notches, slide it in. There you go. You should hear a little clip, and it will clip right in. And then just line up your camera cable. Just be a little bit careful of your orientation. Just want to match up the pins. The pins are more towards the inside of the quad, and that's how you'll push it in. Okay, and the camera also has camera orientation. So if you want a straight ahead video, you can push it straight ahead like this. If you wanted to take video of the ground, kind of pan down throughout your flight, you can just rotate it like this. So you can adjust that before you take off. So it's a pretty interesting looking controller. It's kind of a square looking controller, but I like the larger size. It does have a lot of functionality. You've got your mode changes. This has 3 rate modes for slow or fast flying. So you would click this button in 3 times for slow to fast. This is your camera and your flip button. So you would press it once to start your camera, press it again to stop your camera. If you press it and then put a direction on your roll and pitch stick, if you push a direction right after you press it, you'll do a flip in that direction. Of course, the on-off button here. And then you've got your trim buttons here. This will give you yaw trim. If the quad if you notice if it's rotating in one direction without you moving the stick, just go ahead and give this button here a press in the opposite direction, And also the same for your throttle. If you notice that you wanted to tune your throttle to go a little quicker up or a little slower down, you would go ahead and just push this up and down. And then your pitch and roll stick here for the pitch. If you notice your quad is kind of leaning forward a little too much, you would push this in the opposite direction. And then if your quad is going left or right, kind of rolling left or right a little too much, you would push this in the opposite direction here. That's your roll trim. So these are all the trim buttons here. And the headless mode. So the headless mode is activated. The headless mode is when you are flying on a regular quad, the pitch stick would make the quad go forward, backward, the roll stick left and right. If you do lose orientation when you're beginning, you're gonna have trouble controlling it because it's gonna go in different directions when you are pushing the controller, depending on how it's facing you. So what the headless mode does is you push this stick in, you're gonna hear a constant beeping, and it totally eliminates the direction orientation of whichever way you push this stick. All it's going to do is if you are in this direction here and the controller is orientated like this, if you press right, the quad's always going to go to the right compared to you, left, always going to go left, or back, it's always going to come back to you. It doesn't matter whichever orientation it's in. That's what headless mode is. So this one has a compass headless mode, which should keep track of where you are, but you have to make sure that when you do first initially launch, the quad is faced away from you, and the red is going to be the back of the quad, the blue is going to be the front. So when you take off, you just make sure you put it in this orientation. You take off, you'll see the flashing, and that means it's initiating the compass. And from then on, you can go ahead and initiate your headless mode. So you might have noticed on the controller, what I've done is I've actually put on a different antenna on here. The one it comes with, and I'll get to this a little later, but I just want to show you what I've done. It's very simple. The one it comes with is just this little stubby, and the antenna in here actually has a long antenna. But with the stubby on there, it really prevents it from coming out of the controller. The antenna is actually about as long as this one is that's in there, the actual wire. So with this little stubby, it really prevents it from coming out, and I wish they would have put a longer antenna on this. So what I did is I had an extra little antenna sheath, and I went ahead and just snipped this off really simply, pushed this antenna sheath in here and ran the wire, the existing wire that was already in the controller, just right up here. And that actually improved the range drastically. So before we go out and take our first flight, I'm going to go ahead and go through over some of the modes on how to activate them. There is a kind of a compass calibration and also a gyro calibration if the quad is flying kind of funky. There's a few ways you can mitigate that. So just going to install the battery, turn on the controller, and go ahead and show you that before we fly out. Battery, just push it all the way in, down to the bottom. You'll see a couple of tabs here. You just make sure it touches the tabs. And I kind of like this setup. You actually would just plug it in like this. There is no switch on it, but that's okay. And then you can actually just push the clip, push the connector right into this clip, so it kind of conveniently keeps the wire out of the way of everything. Okay, so once you have it plugged in, you're going to see some flashing. Face it away from you with the blue out towards the front. Turn your controller on. You're going to hear that beeping, and then it's going to actually bind. On this quad, you don't actually have to push up and down on the control stick. It will just bind automatically. Some quads you have to push it up, you hear a beep. You push it down, you hear a beep. But in this case, no need. So once you turn the controller on, you're going to see kind of a neat... You want to adjust the gyro, so you want to have it on a very level surface, like in your house. You want to make sure you're on a level surface, maybe a level table or a counter or something are usually very level, or you know, a tile floor, wooden floor, something like that. and you just push the 2 sticks to the bottom left. It'll start doing a kind of a flash, and you'll just wait till it stops. And what that does is it initializes, it levels the gyro so that it knows in flight to stay at a certain level. And the next thing you'll want to do is actually calibrate the magnetic compass. Kind of the same, but in this case you will, after it's on, you hold both left and right stick down to the center. You'll see that the quad will start flashing repeatedly. And in this instance, you just rotate it. Just keep rotating it like this until the lights will go off. It's usually about 2 times face front again, and then the light will actually go off. And that means the magnetic compass is calibrated, so it kind of will know where your controller is once you turn it on and bind it. Okay, so after that calibration is all done, then we can fly. So let's go out, get some flight video, and see how she does. Hey guys, welcome back. So we had a few flights with the Nihui U807 Quadcopter, and we're going to talk about some pros and cons now that we have it back on the table. And basically, first we'll talk about the cons. So the cons on this guy, first of all, the battery in the quad, it tends to move around just a little bit, and the problem with that is it shifts the center of gravity when you're flying, and you'll notice it just a little bit. The thing about that is it's not too bad because it is a sport flyer, so you will be flying pretty quick and fast and you won't notice it that much. But then when you kind of come back to wanting to hover, you'll notice that if the battery does shift a little bit, it won't hover quite as good as it did when you first launched and you had the battery pushed all the way back. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, another con would be the lift speed. So it does fly very fast with its pitch and yaw rate, but the actual lift speed, when you give it full throttle lifting up, is not quite as fast as I would want it. It's just a little bit lacking in that respect. It is a 3.7 volt quad, so you know it doesn't have that much power to the motors, but I think it's just the way they designed this. They've got this aluminum shaft, which is kind of weighty, which actually I think this actually gives it a little more runtime because it keeps the props kind of spinning with centrifugal force, but that also detracts a little bit from the instant lift. So that's just another con. Not that bad, but I'd like to see it a little faster, a faster lift. Let's see what else is a con on this guy. So on the headless mode, when you're in a house trying to do that headless mode where you can be in any orientation and pulling back on the stick will bring it back to you forward no matter how it's turned. In the house, since it does have a magnetic compass, I noticed that it did get skewed a little bit, thrown off just by, you know, some electronics in the house, magnetic fields and stuff throwing that off. So I'd recommend just using headless mode where you probably would only be using it outside in the park. So that's just another con. The last con for this would actually be, actually there's two more. One of them was after about 7 flights, I had a motor failure, so I wasn't able to get all the video I wanted to. I did have one little clip with the built-in camera, and the resolution was good, but the way the camera is kind of mounted and the way the front turns, the way the camera mount is, it's a little loose, so it was real shaky and jello-y, and it was just not impressive at all. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to get this, maybe get the one without the camera, unless you can find some kind of mod to brace the camera. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to that point because I did have a motor failure, and it was the right front. I did try to replace it with a H8C motor I had because they're the same size, but the H8C motor is built for a 7.4 volt, and this is a 3.7 volt. So it didn't have the lift. When I did try to launch after installing this motor, it wouldn't spin fast enough. So I don't have any other motors, so I can't actually do any more flying with this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the review with you know, with what I did so far in the backyard. I wanted to go to the park, but since the motor failed when I was in the backyard, I couldn't get to the park with this guy. But those cons aside, I really like this as far as quick sport flying. This is very fun. Another pro is it's very quiet. The way they designed this system is it doesn't make any kind of whine. You can fly it. I was flying it at like midnight and you can barely hear it in the air. I just wanted to check out the lights and see it at night. So that's another pro. Quiet operation. It's very good in wind, since the way it's designed is it has very small arms that are very thin. It's very low profile, so it can really cut through the wind. The wind doesn't affect it that much. so you won't be blown around a lot. It does flips. That's always nice to have that option to do flips. The last thing is I really liked the modular design. This thing is designed very, very well. As far as the ease of replacing items. For example, if one of your motor fails, all you've got to do is remove 4 screws, pop the bottom off, remove 1 screw on the bottom of the arm to take off this light lens, pop that off, and then push your motor out. And this, if you get the motors that come with this, it's actually got motor plug-ins where you can just plug that motor right into the board, so there's no soldering or anything. I went ahead and soldered that H8C motor just to test it out if it worked, and that's why I had to solder this one in. But if you have the motors that are specific to this quad, you can just plug them right in. So that really impressed me, was the modular design. It's really well thought out, well built. It's very flexible. Crashing it, I crashed it a few times in the yard, and really it didn't get a scratch, maybe just a little scratch on the top here, but that was from when it flipped over and hit the wall in the house. So basically this would be something for people that maybe have worked their way up from, say, like a SEMA X5C and wanted something a little faster before they go into a larger quad. This will give you a little bit more of a challenge as far as flying fast and, you know, to get that super fast flight. So the motor failure after 7 flights was kind of disappointing. I did order another set, so when that comes in, I will update the video with some comments. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment on there. Flight times were 9 minutes without the camera. So that 9 minutes without the cam was outside random flying flips and stuff. Since the motor failed previous to me getting the flight time with the camera and with the camera on, I wasn't able to do that. As far as the charge time goes, it's got a 650 milliamp battery that comes with it. So the charge time on the stock charger is going to be between 45 minutes to an hour. So anyway, to wrap it up, this controller as well, as I stated before, I did the range mod. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to test the range because I didn't get to the park before the motor failed. So I do like the controller though. It looks a little boxy, but it's actually feels really good in the hands. It's got great features. The feedback is really good on the sticks, and you get a really good readout. You know, all the information on the screen is very useful. It tells you how much battery power and all that stuff, and your trims and all that. And it also lights up. It'll go into the light will go off if you don't touch it for a while, but once you touch the sticks, the light will actually come back on, and I really like that feature. So as I stated before, I did the range mod. I'll try to put some numbers in when the new motors come in, and give you guys some numbers on the range just by putting in this sheathing here and pulling that long antenna that was already in here outside of the controller. That should give it a lot more range. So I'll keep you updated on that. Great sport flyer for people that want a fast quad. I would recommend, maybe if you do order this, order a few motors. This is a review model from gearbest.com. They have also some parts for this, including the motors. So I went ahead and ordered, I think they're $2.50 a piece, around there, maybe $3 a piece. So I went ahead and ordered a set just to have another set. So I'd recommend any time you order one of these little quads, I would recommend getting, you know, just at least the motors, if not like maybe an extra battery, just to have those around in case you get a motor, because a motor will eventually burn out. Usually they don't burn out until, you know, over 20 flights or even more. So I would recommend just to have some on standby, just in case. Anyway, hope you guys liked the review, and again, thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and like, and I'll see you in the next one.